Hello, and today this video which I'm making or I'm telling you is about understanding what our scriptures try to tell you, and that is very important even in astrology, because when we talk about exalted planets, they are planets which are of full energy. There is a karma which is going on for a long time, and their level of energy they have is full. That is, in very crude words, a person who has had his full. He's now full, nearly full, or full, and so obviously a person, and that could be positive. I'm not saying negative, positive. The positive energies are full in him, and that is what exalted planets are. And debilitated planets are where they want to do. There is a deficit, and that person wants to clear the deficit. So you have to today. Then that is why I say that debilitated planets are not bad. And a lot of things in our astrology is linked to what the Indian system of thinking is, what our thought process is. So आज मैं थोड़ा सा आपको उसके बारे में बताऊंगा. The importance in India is that there is a kind of belief that there is thousands of God, everywhere. There are 33,000 crores God. So let's understand the reason for this. And the reason for this is that in the Indian system, what was important was that everybody wanted that, the journey is inside. The journey is not outside. There is nothing which is outside. Everything is inside within you. As inside, so outside. So that is what it is. As inside, so outside. So just to make you understand that there is, that you keep on remembering that Almighty all the time. In each activity you do, a large number of gods and goddesses were created. Now, those gods and goddesses in the form may not be looking like that, but they are a part of the total consciousness which makes us to do our karmas, our akarmas, our dushta karmas, etc., which make us to do that. So if you see in Indian mythology, you have Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. Brahma is with Saraswati. Saraswati is knowledge. Without knowledge, creation is not possible. Vishnu and Lakshmi. Lakshmi is, considered as money. And if you have to maintain anything, you have to have money. You have to have the wherewithal to buy things. And then you have Shiv, which is with Parvati. And Parvati is actually An also. So, destruction can only be there when there is something there to destroy. If there is nothing there to destroy, you cannot do destruction. So you have somebody like an Annapurna who's there, who is giving you food and etc., making you to grow, and that Sarvanash is done by Mahesh. Similarly, we have so many other gods. We have Hanumanji, which talks about strength of your planet. We have Bhairav, which talks about the night. Even for negative things like sharab pina, drinking, we glorify with Somras. So all the activities which you're doing, positive and negative, there is a relationship with some form of nature which is related to some God. So in the end of the thing, you are thinking about God, and there is a kind of a transition which will take place. Even for the ugly people, they become good after a certain amount of karmas they do, and the karmas are fructified, and depending on what it is, they get the results. So, but this whole process of everything what you do has an element of, you keep on thinking about some God which is there, which is making you to do everything, which is known as the breath is known as the prana shakti, so on and so forth. Everything you have something which is happening. So that is what basically, in very brief, and that is not the way to explain, but in very brief, that is what the Hindu system is, where you are told that there is a nature, there is a superpower, and that superpower is all manifest. It is there everywhere, and that is then associated and explained by a large number of gods, which you keep on doing it in your daily thing. You're taking food, you're praying to God, you're doing water, you're praying to God. Achavan is there. So many things that if you look at it, and even if somebody does 10% of it, actually he is believing in God. Even an atheist believes in God, because what an atheist says, that he says that God does not exist. but he is believing that there is something like God and has said that it does not exist. So he's got into some logic of saying that God does not exist and then finding something beyond it. So, even an atheist is also somewhere talking about a super nature, super consciousness which exists. So now here, best way to explain this, and in a very layman's language, is to explain it by means of Mahabharata. In Mahabharata, I mean, it is for the historical or the people who write history to to understand whether Mahabharata actually took place in Kurukshetra, people were there or not. But I will go into the philosophical aspect of this book Mahabharata, which is basically the Sar is in Bhagavad Gita. But let's understand Mahabharata, what it was. It was basically 100 people, 100 sons, born to a blind man who is blind. So wisdom is blind to Dhritarashtra. And this blind man is accompanied by Gandhari, who is actually the wisdom. But the desires are so great that the wisdom closes his eyes. Mostly it happens is the desires are so great. The desires were so great of this thing that wisdom, Gandhari, which is wisdom, chooses to close its eyes. And thus came into existence the 100 Kauravas who were the epitome of, of desires. So this is the 100 which we have in our system. And these 100 are fighting the cousins, Pandu, the 5, the good part of it, the nature which is the higher self on it. Always remember, and one day I'll tell you the story of Ganesh also, what it means, what the mouse means and how it is related to Ganesh. And here it is that desires are always multiple in nature. They always multiply. वो multiply करते रहते हैं. तो वो 100 हैं और यहाँ पर आपके खाली 5 हैं. So this is what keeps on happening within ourselves. There are 100 people fighting the 5. If you understand, if you look at Bhagavan, Krishna, he never takes any side. He chooses not to fight. He is there between the both. Between Pandavas and Kauravas, he is driving the Sarthi. He is the Sarthak of Arjun. But he chooses not to fight, chooses not to get involved during the youth. And that is what Atman is, the consciousness is, which is just which looks at you. And it is for you to decide who would win the war within you, as it was in the case of Pandava and Kauravas. It is your greed and desire which is covered, where even your intellect gets covered, and then you run and multiply it. Or you have to be like the 5 Pandavas, which have their own energies, their own positivities. And then you have Krishna standing there, who will always, be there to guide and help in terms of a static positive force. It doesn't take sides. So, whether it is by the destruction, the construction comes in, whether it is by, mutual understanding it comes in, but this is what keeps on happening in our mind. And this was also explained by Krishna when the story of Nag, there's a Kaliya Nag, he stays in the river. The river is nothing but a mind, हमारा मन है, जो चंचल है, जो चलता रहता है. It is flowing, it never stops. Under this mind, it keeps on flowing, which is so chanchal, जो बहता रहता है, उसके नीचे sits this Nag.